deepest condolences to the BANDA family. I think that when we lose an icon like the fourth president, RUPIAH BANDA, usually we look at them as an institution. We forget that he was a husband, he was a father, a brother, and we should convey our heartfelt condolences, first of all, to the family, to let them know that we joined them during this very difficult time. Let me add that the icon that we have lost reminds us of the passing of a generation of those who understood what public service was all about. President RUPIAH BANDA, may his soul rest in peace, lived almost all of his life in the service of the nation. He didn't know anything else. He became ambassador to Egypt at the age of 27. He became ambassador to Washington at the age of 30. He became Foreign Affairs Minister in 1975. He became ambassador of the United Nations in 1974. So you can imagine how young he was. And he was, I can safely say, the longest serving diplomat of our nation. So we have lost somebody who dedicated his entire life to building the Zambia that we have today, together with the Kaundas and those that have gone before us. May us, the newer generation, emulate that public service that came in to build the country and give us the country now that we enjoy. We wish him a rest in God's bosom, and may God strengthen the family. May God strengthen the Zambian people, and our condolences to the President of the Republic of Zambia on this great loss. Late RB was a very jovial man. Besides being a president, he enjoyed life. When you really interact with him, he got personal with you. He went straight to your family. I remember when he was appointing me ambassador to Canada, he said to me, you know, I'm sorry I cannot make you vice president because me, I'm your NIP, you're NCC, they'll kill us, but I want you to go to Canada. Take your children with you, give them education there. Just for him to think of the family, my family like that. And he did that to many people. He didn't only look at you as a public servant, but he also looked at you as an individual with needs. And he wanted to be a bridge in that situation. So a lot of Zambians are going to testify on how personal he was. And we shall miss him greatly. I thank you.
He had retired, but he came back and continued to contribute to the welfare of the Zambian people. It's really a sad day. We wish to have more politicians like the late President BWEZANI BANDA.
Understanding how the MMD regime did contribute to our well-being and our growth in terms of business opportunities at that time. Because in the time when BWEZANI BANDA was president, that is when business opportunities boomed for the youth in this country. And I would like to also thank, on another hand, the people from all political divides, the people from all churches and all diplomatic missions accredited to Zambia that showed their solidarity to this day's Youth Day. Even when this day has not gone on as planned, we will still combine it with celebrating the life of RUPIAH BWEZANI BANDA. I urge all the youth forum and all the youth folks from all political divides, as long as we are all Zambians, we have this moment that which we have to account our lives through remembering the late President RUPIAH BWEZANI BANDA, and we thank you, the media, for the support that which you have rendered. On behalf of the youth, we say we have lost an icon of peace, and we have lost a man that brought us to prominence in the business limelight of the youth's opportunities, and we thank you, the youth, for the cooperation and the support that we have rendered. May God bless Zambia.
So on behalf of all diplomatic corps, we express our sadness and sorrow for that. We believe that former president spent his life in service of his country and his people. So we express our sympathy and solidarity with his family, with the Zambian people, with the government of Zambia. and we pay our condolences to His Excellency President Hakainde Hichilema for this loss, and we believe that Zambia will exceed this burden issue, and we ask the God, the Almighty God, to bless him and to give him the mercy. Let his soul rest in peace. Thank you very much.
Will always remember the role that I have played in working together with all Zambians to make our country what it is.
For me, it was routine that when he comes back from his chemo, he goes down. But somehow he manages to pull through out of it. But this time, he was not to pull out of it. This time, it was too late.
First, I saw it on social media. And I said, it is not possible. But then the other side of me said, check it. I rang dear Kawana, and he said, it has happened. Packed up my papers and went straight to Arabi's home.
Honorable Mtati went to the house and he sat there until came to collect the body from the house, and he escorted the body until it was deposited in the mortuary.
Took the body to my Nasoko mortuary, finishing the whole exercise around 23 hours. The process not quite sinking in. Always feeling that maybe it hasn't happened. Maybe I'm dreaming. Tomorrow he's going to wake up. But that was not to be.
RUPIAH BWEZANI Banda, born on 19th February 1937, was Zambia's fourth Republican president who served for 3 years from 2008 to 2011 after taking over from Levi Mwanawasa, who died as a sitting president. Born in Gwanda, a town in Zimbabwe, RUPIAH Banda's political career dates back as far as the Kenneth Kaunda era, where he held several diplomatic positions at a young age. The late former head of state was United National Independence Party UNIP's representative in Northern Europe in the early 1960s, and in 1965 he was appointed Zambia's ambassador to Egypt and later became ambassador to the United States in April 1967. In his political journey, Banda was elected Member of Parliament for Monali constituency in 1978 and later retired from active politics, relocating to Eastern Province after losing the parliamentary seat. After President Levi Mwanawasa was re-elected in September 2008, RUPIAH Banda was appointed Vice President on 9th October 2006, along with a new cabinet. Following his appointment, he subsequently joined the Movement for Multi-Party Democracy, MMD. After the demise of then-President Levi Mwanawasa, he became acting president, during which he narrowly won an election against opposition leader Michael Sata of the Patriotic Front, but was later defeated in 2011, ushering in the Patriotic Front under Michael Sata.
He always said, I'll put the interest of the nation Zambia first. And he demonstrated this by graciously handing over power in 2011 without any quarrels. That was, Arabi.
It is not for us to deny the Zambian people. We never rigged, we never cheated, we never knowingly abused state funds. We simply did what we thought was best for Zambia. I hope the next government will act likewise in years to come.
Since then, RUPIAH BANDA had taken a back seat in active politics. After a battle with colon cancer, BANDA died at home in Lusaka on 11th March 2022, aged 85.
Fellow citizens, it is with great sadness that we announce to the nation the death of Zambia's fourth Republican President, His Excellency President RUPIAH BWEZANI BANDA.
The man who was fondly known as President for all Zambians was no more, but his memories live on in the Zambian people.
Arabi was a jovial person. He was down to earth. He had this rare gift of having an infectious laugh. When he entered the room, everybody knew that Arabi has actually entered. It was easy for him to connect with people. He was a connector. And that is why at the time he was called the President for all Zambians. He was indeed a president for all Zambians. And one would say Arabi was always himself. Arabi was always Arabi. He had an allergy to protocol. And I remember one occasion, everybody's queuing up. He spots somebody in the crowd that he knew from some time ago. He breaks protocol and reaches out and says, "Ma Joseph Mlibwanji, tuenze naimbo kuna mbodi, wana Mlibwanji, waenda kusukulu, ni chancha mendi ngachite kumitandeza." That was what you may call humanity. That was an example of humanity, and that was, Arabi. He also used his native language to great effect. He used it for humor, but he also used it for authority. Humor, you recall, he's about to address a press conference at State House. He looks up, "Baba, kanitundila." And the whole effect was to get you, the press, to concentrate, to settle down, to feel at ease. Okay? He used it as authority. You would say, "Niwani alabila." So, meaning that he was against rumor mongering. He was against backbiting. That was your Arabi.
One of the occasions I remember very well when we, took a separate part was during the run-up to the general elections, and the MMD was having its provincial conferences. So there was one particular provincial conference in Eastern Province that President Banda had a particular interest in, and clearly he had a preferred chairman to take up that, and then there was another member who wanted to be chairperson also, and really was not favored to be, and I was tasked from a minister and some state house staff. I was tasked to go and talk to him so that he stands down. And I went into Chipata and I had a chat with him, I had a chat with his wife. But he was a bit adamant to stand down, and he was still in the process of making the decision. But then that was the time also that President Banda had sparked with his Minister of Works and Supply then, and who was the chairperson for elections, Honorable Mike Mulongoti the late, may he so rest in peace. And so they came into Chipata without chairman elections, and he flew in later, and he called me, of all people, and said, "Come and pick me up at the airport." So I went to Chipata Airport to pick up Honorable Mulongoti, and I was taking him to Protea. And that guy also, the one that wanted to stand as chairman for Eastern Province, went ahead to file in his nominations to stand. And that sort of annoyed the president. And you know, presidents are told a lot of things. And the characters that went to tell the president went to tell him this guy was prepared to stand down. But Thabo is the one that made him to go ahead. He went and told him, no, just go ahead, defy all attempts to make you stand down. So the president was shocked. Thabo did that? So when he asked, but where's Thabo? Oh no, he has been seen with Mlongoti. Now you see, he had sparked with Mlongoti. There was bad blood between the president and his minister. And then here's Thabo being accused of telling that guy to stand. And here's Thabo being told, no, actually he's now with the Minister Mlongoti. And the whole thing just went berserk. And the president was very annoyed with me. And he called me and, you know, he shouted at me, and, you know, I couldn't answer back and I had no chance to tell him, no, listen. I kept quiet. When he was done talking, and then he asked, Wamva? Said, Anamvera. Then he cut the line. The following day, we went to a place called Mamarula where I used to reside. I would stay when we were in Chipata. And we were having breakfast there. So I went to see Uncle Vijay and explained to Uncle Vijay that, no, this is the situation. And Uncle Vijay, you know, Venerable Mwanga, said to me, well, just tell it as it is. Tell the president the truth. I don't think it's an issue if you explain to him what happened. Now, to get the opportunity to explain to the president who's annoyed with you was a bit difficult. So we sat down and we were having breakfast, and I sat in between. I remember very well, I think there was Dr. Chembe this side and Dr. Chigunta on the other side. And at the front table there was Mlongoti, there was Vijay, there was the president, and there was the white lady, the owner of the lodge. And I wasn't eating because there was zero appetite. So the president realized that I wasn't eating, so he says, come. So I went and he asked the lady to excuse herself, and I sat next to him. So he says, what is the issue? So I explained to him, Your Excellency, this is what happened. I went through, I spoke to this guy, he agreed to step down, and then, you know, he was still just making the final decision, and then Mlongoti is here, you can ask him. He flew in, he had no one to pick him from the airport, he asked me to go pick him up. Really, as innocent as these issues could be. And he said to me, don't worry about that. Let's even go to the convention. And we went together to the provincial convention. And from there, he asked me, who have you come with? I said, no, I've come with a friend of mine. Does he drive? Yes. Give him your car. Let's fly back to Lusaka together. And, you know, he put me on the presidential jet and we came back to Lusaka together.
He was a father. He was an uncle. And he was overall a leader of our country. He combined, you know, humility, empathy, and experience, vast experience in the many years that he served as head of state. Although he served Zambian and Zambians in a period of 3 years, but I can tell you it was 3 years of so many good things: productivity, managed economy, enhanced democracy, and just the love to allow things flow, to allow democracy to flow.
RUPIAH Banda's reign was focused on economic development, infrastructure development such as hospitals and roads, as the country's economy flourished amid rising copper prices and the flood of Chinese investment, but also saw some corruption allegations.
In 2008, the world financial crisis melted the economies of the world. The price of copper went down. RB stood steadfast, working with Finance Minister then Honorable Musokotwane. One, they put in sound and prudent economic policies to ensure that the economy of Zambia did not collapse. Number two, they created a platform together with other ministers that the only revival of this economy in the face of the crisis was to attract, investment. And you saw that his philosophy of continuity with change held fast, to the extent that by the end of 2011, the economy, the growth in the economy was some of the best since 1964. GDP growing at about 7.6%. Exchange rate single digits. Inflation single digits. Reserves glorious. Infrastructure beginning to pump. Certainly that showed this side of RB of being a pragmatic leader. But even in his pragmatic leadership, he was easygoing. He always used to say, Vanyamata tuzakonza osawara yai tuzaikonza inichito chabe.
The former head of state was also seen as a Democrat who allowed freedom of association for all.
On a MMD ticket, Dad stood as a member of parliament for UNIP here in Munali constituency. We both lost, okay? But for me, I was very proud. The party that I supported won, okay? But if it was another father who was not loving, who was not a Democrat, my political career would have ended 32 years ago. But he kept saying to everybody, Musie ni Andrew ni mwana wangu. Detractors kept going to him and saying, but why is it Andrew is always thinking differently from you? Nasty ones would even say, Mukane ni mwana. My father said, ni wangu mwana.
I remember another incident in Mumfumbwe. The police inspector general then was Mr. Gabonde. And there was a picture on the front page of the Post, and there was President Hakainde Hichilema in opposition then. He was pointing a finger at Inspector General Kabonde, and Kabonde was standing there, and he had a pistol on his side of the pocket. And as cadres then, and young and enthusiastic, how could the opposition do this to our IG? No, this IG must be fired. So we all went to where the president was staying and said, no, Excellency, this IG of yours, how can you allow the opposition to do that to him? He must be fired. And so he said to us, let me see him. So because we were all in Mufumbe, because Mufumbe by-election was tense, it was very violent. So IG was there, president was there. So now we went with the IG to see the president, and he saw the IG in front of all of us. And we were so sure that we will hear a pronouncement of the IG being fired. And then he says, IG, you are here, yes, and my children are here. IG, I want to thank you. And we all what is he thanking him for? I want to thank you. And I've seen the paper, and I've seen that our young man there is pointing at you, and you're armed, and you're with other policemen and so on. You could have done anything you wanted, but you remained calm. As a parent of the country, you don't need to use your temper, use the instruments of your office to fight people, to come down on people. And he thanked the IG then that the conduct of the IG was exemplary, and that is the way he must be. He must be tolerant. His job requires that he's very tolerant, because he can harm people with the office that he holds. Now, us being cadres, enthusiasts, and we are looking forward to hear that the man is fired, now we were shocked. So now after the whole meeting, we are now escorting Wakawonde back to his car, and we are saying, no, you see, IG, we have to tell the president that, you are a good man. Meanwhile, we had earlier going, hoping that the man would be fired. But what we pick up then now, looking back, is that you find that after growing up, you realize that all those were practical lessons that he took us on board with. That life is not about you always wanting other people to be fired. Life is about bringing people together. Life is about looking for what is positive in other people so that you bring them up. It is not about you looking for negatives in people to bring them down. Look into people, find their positive corners, and collect those and run with them.
RUPIAH BANDA, who was proud to use his local language, united Zambians and played a critical role in fostering the transition from the Patriotic Front and the United Party for National Development in 2021.
The atmosphere that you see speaks for itself. And I think that is better than if we write something and this and that, because that can be discarded. But it is. You can see for yourselves. And thanks that this honor has been given to us to receive you in our home. I hope it continues. We'll be seeing you more often, whenever. The president here is going to be more free now to come and visit me and vice versa. But the ones who have come from outside, it really touches us as Zambians, all of us. Sure, the journalists agree that it's so wonderful to see brothers from other countries showing their concern for our welfare and our unity and our future.
Most of you know that this 12th of August last year, 13, 14, 15th of August were very difficult days in the history of our country. And Arabi stood in the middle and kept this country hopeful. He performed wonderful function outside. I think the Fouth Zambian. What the nation saw was superficial, but behind there he did a lot of work to bring us to the situation that the public all know by now. So we're very grateful for that. We talked unity here in this house. We talked economy in this house. I think for today, I wish to end by encouraging the family to continue with the unity, to coordinate with government. Where we need it, we'll be available. Where we get stuck, we'll come back to the family through the team that's working with the family.
Unity, love, and kindness are lessons one cannot ignore from the former head of state.
He used to say to us that, you see, politics is about people. And if you do not like people, you do not have love for people, don't engage yourself in politics, because it's about people. And the love for people is not timed. So there's nothing like our attend to people between 8 and 17. You attend to people throughout, because people need you throughout. So he says, if you're not ready for that kind of life, stay out of politics.
Let's treat each other as Zambians with respect. Let's treat each other as Zambians without reference to tribe. Let's work together as Zambians for the best of Zambia. I think these are critical things that we can learn from Arabi going forward.
The former head of state, RUPIAH BANDA, will be put to rest Friday, 18th March 2022.